We had been thinking about taking a break for a long time. We had been working full time and making videos for 3 years. In 2019, we changed jobs, moved across the world, but managed to keep uploading a video every week. Then in December, it finally happened. We uploaded the lemon tart video and did not feel like going back to filming. The world around us was changing, not for the better. We felt like our videos did not relate to the time and place where they were being created. They did not reflect the turmoils that we were going through. We wanted to make videos about the people behind the food we eat. The vegetable seller, the street vendor, the local grocer, the butcher, the waiter at our favorite restaurant. All the people who make it possible for us to cook and eat the food we eat. During the first weeks of our break, we rediscovered the joy of not having to shoot all day on a Saturday. It was liberating to meet up with friends at a moment's notice. We remembered how it felt to cook whatever we wanted to cook without having to worry about whether it was going to be relevant for the channel. We took a trip to Lucknow and Delhi, met up with friends and ate our way through the cities. In late February, we started working on some new series ideas and began filming again. But as if the world did not have enough bad things happening to it already, COVID-19 happened. The videos that we were making had to be put on hold. That brings us to now. Now that we are under lockdown, we have decided to share these scaled down informal videos of us cooking in our home kitchen in the hope that some of you will find these useful. And we really hope that in a few months' time, we'll be able to get back to working on the series ideas that we had originally planned. Until then, we'll keep making these cooking vlogs. We filmed this episode on 22nd March before the lockdown started in Calcutta. This is for a Sunday lunch. Our lunch usually consists of rice with a dal, a torkari, some kind of animal protein like fish or meat, and a sweet chutney at the end. Both Insiya and I are cooking. Today's menu is beans at dalna, leftover diye tok dal from yesterday, Boal machher jhol, and kool at top. We started by washing the rice and soaking it. This helps the rice cook faster. When cooking together, we discuss beforehand who is going to do what and also the order in which we will perform the tasks. Today, I am doing most of the prep, cutting vegetables, etc. And I will be cooking the beans at dalna while Insiya is going to make the Boal machher jhol. I am prepping the beans for beans at dalna. Meanwhile, Insiya is coating these gorgeous fatty Boal machher pieces with salt and turmeric for an onion-based jhol. She is also taking notes because we plan to film this recipe properly later. This is also a glimpse into how we standardize our recipes. On the first day, we cook according to our andaj or intuition. In the end, we note down how much of everything we used. Then we taste it, get feedback from my mother, and write notes which we use to cook it the second time, and so on until we have a reliable recipe. I am peeling the potatoes for beans at dalna, saving the potato peels to make khosha bhaja another day. Bengali cooking is naturally very thrifty because Bengal has had to go through terrible hardships in the past. This comes in handy in times like these. I am cutting the potato into long narrow pieces. I made a mistake here. I should have cut it a little thinner so that the potatoes and the beans are similar in shape and size. We will also need some chopped tomatoes, mostly for the Boal machher jhol and a tiny bit for the beans at dalna. Slitting some green chilies along the length to be used for both the fish and the vegetable. Roughly 3 medium onions for 4 large pieces of fish.
মাছ তো 400 ছিল, 210 লাগবে না, তুই 150 নে।
Ma told us later that the onions should have been sliced even thinner so that they don't stand out in the sauce. We have discovered that some of the Korola, that is bitter gourd, in our fridge needs to be used up. So we have decided to make some plain Korola bhaja. For those new to Bengali food, bitters form the first course in Bengali meals. They are said to open up your taste buds for the next course. The bitter gourd rings are seasoned with some salt and turmeric and set aside. This ends our prep. Let's start cooking. Insiya is adding mustard oil to a heated karai to fry the Boal mach. I am heating oil in another karai for the Korola bhaja. The heat should be controlled so that the Korola is frying, not sweating. Otherwise it will become soft and mushy and not crisp. The fish has to be turned when one side is browned. The Korola is getting nice and brown too. Time to add some sugar and caramelize the Korola. The sugar helps balance the salt and creates a nice crunchy char. Boal is a very fatty fish, so it has to be fried well until some of the fat is rendered and the skin is quite brown. That's it, the first course is done. Now that all the fish are fried, it is time to make the sauce. In the same oil, Insiya is adding 1 cardamom, 1 small piece of cinnamon and kalo jeera. The sliced onions go in next. A sprinkling of sugar both for taste and for color. I am setting the rice to cook on the back burner. By this time it has soaked for a good 1 hour. It won't take more than 12 minutes to cook. We always use lots of boiling hot water to cook our rice because it produces rice that is not starchy and sticky. Chopped tomatoes go into the machher jhol. Some crushed garlic goes into the machher jhol. Salt. Adding a splash of hot water when the onion starts to dry out. Adding turmeric and red chili powder. Everything needs to braise gently on medium heat. Slit green chilies go in. This looks like it is done. It took about 20 to 25 minutes, so we are adding all of the hot water that is needed to form the sauce. Side note, having tasted the jhol now, we should have braised the onion a little bit more before adding the water. Insiya is adding the fried fish into the sauce now. Checking the rice to see if it is done. If you're wondering why we are not draining everything over a strainer, it's because my father likes his rice cooked a little more. So we will keep cooking the rest of the rice for 5 more minutes. Insiya is tasting for seasoning. It needs some salt and a little more sugar. The fish is nearly done. We'll cook it a few more minutes to allow the fish to soak up the sauce. With the rice done, I'm starting on the last dish, beans and dalna. I always make the masala paste before I start cooking. In a bowl, I'm mixing some ginger paste, cumin, turmeric and salt with some hot water. This needs more cumin. The fish is done. Insiya is finishing with a pinch of garam masala. Roughly washing the karai so that I can reuse it to cook the beans. Pouring mustard oil into the heated karai and waiting for it to start smoking. Adding the foron, dried red chilies, followed by nigella seeds and bay leaves. The potatoes go in. You'll notice that off camera I have divided the potatoes along the length to make them thinner. Some salt goes in with the potatoes. When the potatoes are golden, add the beans. These are beans from our garden that we just picked yesterday. Adding the spice paste now. Rinsing the bowl with a little water and pouring it into the karai. The cooking will happen on medium-high heat. We want the beans to have some bite and not become completely soft. On the other hand, we don't want them to brown and shrivel up. Add some tomatoes, green chilies. A little tomato in the dalna adds a hint of sourness and balances the saltiness and the sweetness. Now that the smell of raw spices is gone, time to add some boiling water. Not too much, just enough that the sauce will coat the vegetables in the finished dish. Since we are going to have this as an accompaniment to dal and rice, we don't need this too runny. Tasting the sauce and adjusting the seasoning, that is the salt and the sugar. Felt like adding a pinch of atta to thicken the sauce a little bit. This is an old trick that I learned from my thamma. Remember that the beans will soak most of the sauce and it will become much thicker by the time you eat it. Time to clean up. Those new to Bengali food may find it interesting to see how the things we made are eaten. There are many unwritten rules, such as what is eaten first or how much of the total rice is allocated to a particular course. We start with the bitter gourd. This is usually a small helping. The second course gets a little more rice. You mix the dal with the rice. This is some tok dal with green mangoes we had left over from yesterday. The recipe is on our channel. You take a little bit of torkari with every bowl of rice. This way, every bite of food tastes a little different. The fish is the last course. Finishing with some chilled, sweet and savory kool talk. With that, we have reached the end of the first episode of this cooking vlog. Let us know if there is anything in particular that you would like us to cook. Share your cooking photos with us on Instagram and Twitter. Happy to be back.